All right, let's dive right into a high-stakes medical emergency. This is one of those situations where your gut instinct is probably wrong and making the right call, well, it can literally be the difference between life and death.
Okay, so imagine you're the first responder. You get the call and you've got two major clues. The patient is urinating a ton and their blood sugar is a sky-high 412. You've got four choices on the table. So, what do? This isn't just a test question, It's a real-world decision with massive consequences.
I mean, those vitals are just screaming high blood sugar, right? And every single instinct you have is probably telling you to treat the sugar. But here's the thing. In this scenario, that instinct could be a huge mistake. We have to look past that big number on the glucose meter to figure out what's really going on.
Exactly. That 412 is a giant red flag, no doubt. But it's just the symptom of a much more urgent problem that's happening deep inside the body. That high sugar level has kicked off a really dangerous chain reaction.
So what is this hidden threat? Well, it's a massive internal dehydration. Think of it like a hidden drought. This patient isn't just sick from sugar. They're in a full-blown crisis because their body is losing an absolutely incredible amount of fluid. Let's break down how that happens.
The fancy medical term for this whole mess is osmotic diuresis. And here's an easy way to think about it. Imagine the patient's blood has become like a thick, sugary syrup. When that syrup gets to the kidneys, they try their best to filter all that extra sugar out. But here's the catch. Sugar is sticky. It doesn't go alone. It acts like a magnet, pulling huge amounts of water right out with it into the urine.
And this shows the whole process perfectly. It all starts with that super high blood sugar. That puts the kidneys into overdrive, trying to dump it all. But for every bit of sugar that leaves, a whole lot of water gets dragged out with it. And that leads directly to severe dehydration, which means blood volume plummets and circulation gets really bad.
Okay, so now that we know the real problem is this hidden drought, let's go back to our treatment options, because this is where you can really see why the most obvious, common sense answers are actually the most dangerous ones out in the field.
First up, insulin. Makes perfect sense, right? High sugar, give insulin, problem solved. But not yet. Giving insulin in the field is super risky. You can cause wild shifts in the body's electrolytes, and you might even make their blood sugar crash before you can get them to a hospital. They will need insulin, for sure, but only after they're stable. So what about giving them sugar? The patient is weak, maybe they need a little energy boost. Well, in this case, absolutely not. With a blood glucose of 412, giving them more sugar would be like pouring gasoline on a fire. It would just speed up that whole osmotic diuresis thing and make the dehydration even worse.
And a diuretic? I mean, the patient is urinating a lot, so maybe a drug that manages fluid is the right call? No way. A diuretic's whole job is to force the body to get rid of more water. Giving that to a patient who is already critically dehydrated would be, well, it would be catastrophic.
All right, so we've crossed 3 of our 4 options off the list. That leaves us with the one single intervention that gets right to the heart of the problem and can actually save this patient's life.
And here it is. The absolute #1 priority is aggressive rehydration. You have to treat the drought, not just the sugar. Pumping them with IV fluids is the single most important thing a first responder can do in this situation.
And the specific tool for the job is a fluid called an isotonic crystalloid. Just think of normal saline. It's designed to do one thing and do it perfectly. Get fluid back into the body's tissues, restore blood volume, and do it all without messing up the body's delicate balance of electrolytes.
And the benefits of this simple step are immediate, and they are huge. Just by adding fluid, you start to dilute the sugar in the blood. You bring blood volume back up, which gets circulation going to all the vital organs, and even helps the kidneys work better so they can clear out that sugar more efficiently. You're basically stabilizing the patient from the inside out. So this brings us to the big takeaway, the main point of this whole scenario. For what looks like a really complicated metabolic problem, there's actually a simple, powerful rule to follow.
Here's your clinical trigger. When you see a blood sugar reading north of 400, especially when you also see that excessive urination, your brain shouldn't just think sugar. It should immediately be screaming dehydration. That's the mental shortcut that gets you on the right track every time.
And this quote from the source material just sums it all up perfectly. Think about that for a second. You can actually start to lower the patient's blood sugar without using a single drop of insulin, just by giving them fluids. That's how critical the dehydration is.
So let's just lock in this fluids first logic. Step 1, identify the signs, that big blood sugar number plus all the urination. Step 2, Recognize that the real immediate threat to life isn't the sugar itself, it's the severe dehydration it's causing. And step 3, your first, most important move is to start those IV fluids, and start them fast.
You know, this whole case is such a great reminder that the loudest symptom isn't always the root cause. A lot of times it's solving the hidden problem that actually fixes the crisis. So it makes you wonder, right? Where else is that true? Thanks for watching.